motion for one.
They may make me, let me be one, they make me.
Good friend.
Right,
Yeah.
it's on his way.
But no. Take the train home. I just put this.
Yeah.
We're ready.
We changed all time. What's that? Changed over to?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Ryan, literally, he's on his way.
Okay, sure. I don't want
I just don't do good in front of crowd, so. Let's wait outside.
to hurt our eyes.
Don't make fun of
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Welcome to the Architectural Review Board meeting of Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. We have a referral from the Planning Board, West Hampton Equity Group. And we have Enthusiasm LLC, Two Brook Road. Good evening, all. And we can start with the referral.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, we have another member of our team who's not quite here, so we're pretty happy to let Mr. Vera go first.
Okay.
And then when our,
Who is it that you're waiting for?
one of the principals on the project.
Okay.
I mean, if Nick finishes, we'll start, but just to give him a minute or two to get here.
He's 5 minutes out.
5 minutes out?
We won't ask you to wait. So.
I don't know if we'll finish it. How do we wait?
No, yeah, I mean, to go with Mr. Vera first.
I'm saying, why don't we wait if he's 5 minutes out?
Okay. Whatever the pleasure of the chairman is.
All right. You have a material board?
We do.
Okay. So if we can start and you can join the
So
meeting?
we'll talk.
Just want to
talk
get the
slowly.
material board, because I think you have some changes, right?
Yes. So we have a whole new project. No. We made some minor changes.
So this is West Hampton Equity Group, West Hampton Equity Group LLC, 1222 and 80 Montauk Highway, and 11 Old Riverhead Road. As provided for in Chapter 514 A and B, the planning board requests that this attached application be reviewed by the Architectural Review Board and an advisory report be returned to the planning board. Proposed construction. The applicant seeks final site plan approval to construct a multi-family residential development consisting of 45 dwelling units distributed among 17 buildings with a community building, swimming pool, on-site sanitary treatment plant, and associated site improvements upon an 8-acre assemblage of parcels in the HD and B2 zoning district.
For the applicant,
Good evening, all.
Good evening, James Enhorn, 223 Mill Road, Sunken Beach. We've handed out a new site elevation packet,
Hold
site plan
the
packet,
mic.
and a new
Thank you.
material board.
Can you just get your name?
These are the architects.
My name is Phil Giordano.
and-
Alex Badalamenti.
And while in substance, what you've been given tonight is very much the same as what we originally filed, there are a couple of relatively minor changes that I wanted to highlight first before we get into the details. This reflects a color change in the siding and in the metal roof, and you may recall that there was a stone veneer at the base that's been converted to, as reflected here, a red brick. And all of those material changes are reflected in the new checklist that we provided, as well as the new board, if you will.
Okay. What I received this afternoon from you,
Yes,
in your office,
that is the same as that.
there was a change in the brickwork.
I did not provide this afternoon. The only thing I provided via email was the checklist and that.
So what I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, just so we all get on the same page, was that the brickwork changed
Yes,
from the El Dorado brickwork.
right,
The roof change from black to Virginia slate.
yes,
The James Hardy change from night gray.
To a lighter gray.
yes, whatever is identified there.
To lightness.
Yes, that's correct. And just before we get into the details of the plan itself, just a little housekeeping from before. There is in fact a sidewalk that was going to extend along Montauk Highway and along Depot Road. There are short sidewalks and garden trellises, if you will, that are south of the south buildings, but those sidewalks do not communicate to the perimeter sidewalk.
So what do they do?
It's a little sitting area under a small, simple little trellis is all that is. The only fences on the property are around the pool and the sewage treatment plant, and they are both in this estate style aluminum fence that's black, that's reflected on the sheet.
And the height of the fence? Do we have that?
It's 4 foot, I think, or
Yeah.
5 foot. 5 foot. So I think those were some of the loose ends. We have some materials, actual materials to show.
This is the lightness of the hardy board. See it? This is the Arctic white, which is the other building. And the smooth is all of the trim work.
So, I'm just sorry, we got this late.
Yeah, no, I
We had no
understand,
time to
sure.
take a look at it per se, so could you just explain how it went from one color to the other color?
Yeah, let me explain.
Because it looks like it went from gray to something whitish.
No, to just a lighter gray. So we responded to some of the comments that we got from the board 2 weeks ago. It took us 2 weeks to redraw every building, but some of the comment changes, Michael, were, we spent a lot of time on the clubhouse. I think Chris was fairly critical of the design facing both Depot and also Montauk. So we redesigned the clubhouse building so that it is attractive on all 4 sides. We also lowered the roof and we lightened the color of the roof because I think there was some concern about the black roof. Once we changed the roof, we color toned it to the grays, and we went from what was sort of a bluish gray, which was a little darker, to a slightly lighter gray on the hardy board. And when you're using hardy, you only have so much variation in color, so we had to pick the roof first and then work towards the proper gray. And we think the matching of the color is actually very good between the 2 buildings. So there's a subtle change between the 2, between the white and the light gray.
And then this is the actual sample of the roof itself.
Could I see what the front of this looks like? You have samples for this
Yes,
compared to
the 2 grays.
this.
She's got Andrea has both. So one is the
Yeah.
white and the other is the light gray.
This is the last one.
This is the new.
No, that's the new one.
This is the
No,
new one.
I
The
know,
bound one
this
is
is
the
the
new
old
one.
one.
This is this one here. It's got lighter.
Got
Yeah.
lighter.
Got
It,
lighter.
it got lighter. You'll see the pilasters also are full length now. We got rid of the little piers. We had stone piers and they were kind of stubby columns. So we decided to take it all down to the first floor level.
Just to clarify, it went from this color.
Correct.
Night gray to this color.
That's correct.
And the
Which
samples
is-
we
which-
have provided are the samples of the new color.
Okay. And the brick on all of the buildings is now going to brick color.
That's correct. We have the brick here, but it's only the foundation level. So it's
Yeah.
only the exposed part
I
of the
mean, these are
foundation.
significant-
And the chimney on
These are
the,
significant changes, that's why I wanted
Sure.
everybody to
understood.
get on the same page.
Sure.
This is
Slight
actual
change, these are
sample
not
of the
slight
brick.
changes, go ahead.
Well, basically changed the whole thing.
Well, we heard you.
Well, we're not complaining
I
about
don't
the
think we said
grade.
anything about the brick.
We didn't say anything about the brick or the original, or this one.
Well, I think as the architect indicated, the change in the roof material kind of dictated the change in from an architectural perspective, a change in the body color.
I'm not as quick as everybody. So this is what you see on the side when you look at it.
That's correct.
Right, so it's going from a dark one, so it's almost like a light color with red,
It's a light gray, correct,
like that.
correct.
And Mike, the other one's the other side. The other side. Yeah, there's two different sidings on the buildings.
These two. These two, so you basically got a white color building.
Correct.
Doesn't that look cool? It's kind of like a place.
The front units were the darker gray,
The,
correct?
not the front, the ones facing west and north, so the ones facing Depot and the ones facing the Villa, those were always white. The ones facing Montauk Highway went from a darker gray to the
That's what
lighter
I'm
gray.
saying.
Right,
I don't know which is
I'm
the
saying
front.
yeah.
the darker gray,
Yes,
okay, was along Montauk Highway.
correct,
And the corner building, which was the community building, was white.
that's correct.
Okay. And now, the front buildings are light mist,
Correct.
and the community building is
White.
Still white.
still white.
We haven't changed the white ones at all. We only changed from dark gray to a lighter gray.
Again, trying to get everybody on the same
Yep.
page.
So when you look at the front of it, if I get this right, this is what you see.
Well,
Right.
it's only 10 inches tall. I mean, it's,
No, I know that. Okay, and then this is on the side.
no, it's not on the side. That whole building is in that gray color.
Where does this go?
That goes on
It's
the
a trim.
buildings facing Depot and facing the villas.
Okay, and that was like the original post that we had?
Yes.
So that-
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just that, I got this half
Understood.
an hour ago.
No,
Rich.
no, we understand.
Okay.
We're here for as
Yeah.
long as you need us to be here.
All of each
Now,
building,
I tried, Vic, Nick.
every side of each building is the same color. Meaning, if it's a white building, it's all white. If it's a gray building, it's all gray. We're not mixing white and gray, other than the trim is always white.
And what prompted the change from the Eldorado, white bark,
I
to
did see it.
brick color with this?
Trying to get
We
this.
thought that brick was more appropriate, more traditional, and since we're only doing the lower base, typically brick foundations would have been used back in the turn of the century, so we went with the brick instead of
I
stone.
like the change on that part. The first thing I noticed is you got rid of the columns. So,
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that. It seems like so the brick, I was like, the columns didn't look
Yeah.
bad with that on, but.
Yeah. We also added piers to the clubhouse so that they also repeat the repetition of a column and pier.
Okay.
The breakout the facade.
What did you do to what was the change in the clubhouse? Do you have the original? Mike, do you have the original?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
have it
were,
here.
you were concerned about the very big roof. The roof was very,
This.
very large. So we added the dormer to the other side, we lowered the
Is
pitch.
this, yeah, go ahead,
Let me
put it
get
right
the
here.
drawing out.
Put that right
Here,
here.
let me give you the original here. Get this out of your way.
Yeah, it's okay. Trying to figure out. No, this is the new
Slide it.
Yeah.
You guys, you all done with this?
Sure.
Slide it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's much easier, right? Hurt somebody.
I'm just thinking of this. Let's see here, myself.
The computer center is still white.
Yes.
This is some reason why you chose the white. Kind of stands out on the corner there,
I think
fitting
it's,
in with this.
I think it's very classic.
I just kind of look through coming east, I see the white thing on the corner.
Well, we're also fully landscaped, and we have black windows. Remember, the white buildings have the black windows, the gray buildings have the white windows.
I don't know. I just think it's Yeah, that's too much on the corner. The white. The community center.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, I like the changes more subtle.
The profile.
The profile, and they got, you know, I like they got rid of all that stone halfway up to the windows.
Yeah, that building is a much smaller scale now than it was before, so. And the black windows do break up the white facade, and the landscape will break it up even further.
And there's two different kinds of metal roofs
Yes,
on the,
just two different colors. So the white buildings all have a light gray standing seam metal roof.
okay.
The gray buildings have a slightly darker.
We have the sample.
Okay.
The color check. That's the light gray. This is the dark gray.
Get your colors, are just.
Yeah, that's the light gray, that's the dark.
Okay.
Save here or save there. In my hand. Can you turn it into text? My handwriting is up there. Most of my handwriting can be controlled like this.
Since we're only getting this tonight, though,
We understand.
digest the changes from your letter that you just clarified some of the questions we had with the
So did
fence
I.
and sidewalk. which you did. And you've given us the-
Well, I guess, since you're not rendering a decision, you can take the time you need to make your recommendations to the planning board.
I have to write up a report.
Right.
To get everybody's input.
Sure.
Give us another minute. When are you going before the planning board?
By next.
Thursday?
No, not that, 2 weeks. Oh, no,
26?
nope. We have, under the new planning board plan, we are not scheduled. We are listed as a holdover. We're not actually scheduled until we need them again. And we're right now in the process of working on figuring out the park fee, which they need to incorporate in part of there. So as soon as
So
we
it's
have that.
in more than 2 weeks.
Yes.
Good.
Oh, yes. And the short answer, yes, more than 2 weeks.
It's only 79 pages.
What's that?
It's only 79 pages.
Are these the basement windows? This right here?
I think there's some egress windows, they're wells. Yeah, correct.
Last week's planning board meeting, they shared with us the new procedures that they have. And since I have applications in various points of completion, some of the new rules apply and some of the new rules don't. So I had to think for a minute where we were with this.
Do we need more time? We're good? Are you okay with the community building staying white?
Yeah, I mean, I like it, I mean, did a nice job, it's a lot better. More so, I think my only concern is, but it doesn't, you know, it happens a lot, there's so many of these white buildings with the black windows. My thought is, you know, over time, is that a fad that just goes out, or?
That's, you know,
Yeah,
that's
but
the
it's-
developer in the market.
It's everywhere.
Exactly. I hear you.
That was part of the logic behind removing the gray stone, which it feels like, you know, if you look back in 20 years, you can kind of point out, you know, that was done in X year.
Exactly.
Where the brick feels a bit more timeless. And I think it's popular now, but this, I don't think is necessarily a fad color combination. I mean, you can look back at buildings that are, you know, 50, 100 years old. Maybe it was less popular back then, but it certainly existed.
Yeah. No, because you're going for the gambrel and the classic trim details and everything.
Correct.
So, you know, the gray ones have that, it's just, the black just jumps out at me.
Yep.
Do I have it? What your name was?
Ryan Jansen.
I'm sorry.
Ryan Jansen, Jantzen.
He's one of the principals of the applicant.
I'm sorry. Jan.
Tzen.
Are you, when you, in these white buildings, are you trimming the windows in black, or are you trimming the windows
No.
in white, just having?
Trimming in white.
Okay.
It's
And
only the
this
window.
looks like it's trimmed out. and-
No,
Okay.
just the window frame
Yeah, so you're
itself.
just gonna see the
Correct.
window, okay.
Yeah.
And the sconces don't change, they're all the same
Correct.
sconce. all
Correct.
around.
I think this is even showing more bold than it really is now. Did you guys answer what the trellis material is?
It's wood, it's
It's wood?
white. Yeah.
This is gonna be white?
Yes.
Okay. It's cut, it's wood color here.
He's talking about the trellises that are off the back of the building.
Yeah, that would be white. They're white. That would be white too. It shouldn't have to trim.
Chris, can I have the old one back? I wrote some notes up it when I gave
Oh,
you.
yeah, sure. Oh, I don't have it anymore, I have the new one. I have the new one now. I went back.
Where's the
Yeah,
old
the old
one?
one.
Yeah. Do you remember what you wrote?
I wrote it on there. Someone mentioned, okay, we talked about the landscaping, parking.
To clarify again, you said the landscaping is going to be under the jurisdiction.
It's my understanding of the village code that the landscaping is put under the auspices of the planning board and not the architecture review board.
The other one was the fence, which they answered.
Right. And then we talked about parking.
Walkways.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I like the way the community center looks, I'm just not a fan of white.
Classic.
Still, when you come down east, I know it just stands out there. Once you got something really big on it. And it's kind of, the color, I like the, again, it's just the light when you see it, or when you see the buildings on Montauk, and they're very light.
Right.
Normally, if you look at most of the places that are done, they're much, they're much a little bit darker, especially if you go down Montauk. On the left, it's stuff that they're building there and some of the other stuff that they put in. Even across down Old Riverhead Road, we don't have a lot of white in the buildings.
Maybe it's about time to get some back.
Hank, anything
I'm
else?
good.
You talk about garage doors?
Yeah, garage doors are white. They're, actually metal, so they're, steel, I think, and insulated. And we have an image on the sheet of what the garage door looks like.
Oh, yeah. Anyone have any other questions? Okay, any input?
No, just thank you for your attention to this.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Metal chips. I'll take the chips back.
You're not gonna change anything, so I can carry the books around.
Exactly. No, you're not.
Just the number of pages.
You're not. And we were surprised to find out how difficult it turned out to be to get actual samples. It seems that the vendors don't, they do this more than they do physical boards like that.
Everything's
The
right.
gentleman in the back, does he have a card?
Who, Ryan? You have a card?
I can share you my contact information, whoever needs it.
I'll email it to you. He can email it to me, I'll email it to Karen. That's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good night.
Good luck.
Good night.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave mine up here. Okay. Enthusiasm, 2 Brook Road, facade and storefront renovation, sign to be filed separately. Sorry it took so long, Nick.
Did you say storefront renovation? Is that what it's at?
What's that?
Did you say storefront renovation?
I
That's
said.
what it's.
Is that what it says?
Facade
Yeah,
and storefront renovation.
yeah.
I didn't
Just
hear-
the-
I
just
never-
the way it's
I never
written.
heard described like that.
Well, it's a problem. Every meeting has been
Every
described the
meeting.
same way.
Well, I wasn't here the last 2 meetings, so,
Right.
well, good to see you all.
Nice
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
So we've made some changes as per whatever notes that were taken at the last meeting, so I'm sure you want to go through everything one by one and I'll answer your questions.
We're trying to get everything on the record, in the minutes. The answer to that is yes.
Okay.
So, the last meeting when Paulie was here,
Mhm.
he was describing the changes in the white columns.
Correct.
So I'll let you,
Well, the changes to the white columns were, there was some fluted columns which we described as the columns as we're turning the corner, okay? The other columns along Brook Road will not be fluted, as per, so we identified, no, I'm sorry. So we identified all of those columns, wish I had a stand. As per, the conversations that we had the last time, so that's.
if we could start with the west elevation maybe,
Okay.
so we can get it into the minutes. If you could describe the siding, the columns.
Well, no, the siding has not changed, the siding's been
Right.
hardy board,
Right.
okay? The columns, will have that smooth finish as was described, at the last meeting, so, I mean, if you want me to count all the columns, there's 5
No,
columns
no,
in
no,
the Brook
just
Road.
the colors and the materials.
So the colors of the siding is the hardy board, the material of the columns, as we described last time. I want to make sure that I'm reading my notes off of this thing. I believe we were doing that in the smooth stucco, okay, in white. We have lowered, and again, this came up at the prior meeting, we lowered the band, which is the boral, as described in white, so that's our panel on the side, just to give us a little texture. The band on the top, that red band, has been there, okay, that has not changed also. As we start to turn the corner, we fluted where the building gets higher in elevation by a couple feet, that's where we started the fluted columns, okay? So at the window wall, so there's 2 additional columns on that Brook Road side, that will be fluted in white, in boral, okay, painted white, colors as described in detail on the elevations. As we turn towards the traffic circle, our front entry, okay, we have the fluted columns in the blues as described in our description here, which is the blue fluted column, which is the furthest one towards the entrance on, what street is that, I'm sorry? I get the streets all mixed up.
That's the box office.
That's the box
Road.
office, that's, yes, that's the color that was chosen, I think that was the color this board has agreed is a nice looking color. So again, there's, yes. So that's the column fluted. I think there was a question, is wherever the columns had some depth to them, if we were going to return the flutes back into the building, the answer to that question is yes. Okay, so it's not just going to be stuck on the front of those columns, they will return on the other sides, the 2 sides. So 3 sides will be fluted. We call them columns, they're technically on pilasters, not columns. As we turn the page, I'm sorry, anything else you want me to describe on that elevation? As we continue down, I'm sorry, what street is it?
Brook Road.
Brook Road. As we continue down Brook Road, we have 2 other in addition to that, we have 2 other columns that are fluted to match the other 2 columns in the other side of the building as you're coming down the street. So those are fluted in boral and white, okay?
And they're the same size, the flute?
They're the same
Is
size
it
flute.
little-
Every column is just a
little
little slightly,
bit
we're gonna
off.
try to make them as equal
the
as
depth is
possible.
the same.
But the depth
Yes,
is.
but the depth's, yeah, the depth pretty much the same. Wherever there's some depth, there'll be a return flute. It just won't be stuck on the elevation,
Gotcha.
okay?
Thank
So they
you.
will have some nice depth to them, okay? So now the building has a little bit more rhythm, okay? So those are those 2 elevations. Any other questions on these elevations? Now we'll go to the boring elevations. Pretty much matching everything on.
Ooh,
Was that me?
nope, that was me.
Okay, as we turn the page, which I will describe as the east elevation, which is at the bottom of your page. Again, we are all hardy board. We are a smooth stucco pilaster in white, okay? I believe we wrapped the same treatment up at the roof area, okay, in the red band. Okay, and the doors, whatever doors are on that side, we can do that. You get to see a little bit more of the fluted columns as you're coming down, as you're walking from the, say, it's called synagogue to the theater, you'll see those fluted columns, so you'll see the depth of those, okay? And then the boring rear elevation, the north elevation, again, hardy board, you will see a little bit of depth of the columns, depending upon your perspectives as you're coming down towards the traffic circle. Doors will be painted in the same white as the rest of the siding of the building.
And you added the red again, I think it wasn't on.
Yeah, it wasn't on the last thread, it wasn't on there, that was your suggestion, we added the red detail to that. Okay. So everything ties together.
And-
There's our detail of the column, of the pilaster closure that you have, so everything is spaced appropriately. I think, again, there was a couple of choices that we had to look at. This is the one that I was told that everybody seemed to like, the spacing. Okay.
That's one we're gonna.
And can we just confirm the date on these drawings? Get that into the record, okay?
The date that I have in these drawings are 5/3/2023.
Okay. And that's for all 2 drawings, 4 elevations.
Correct.
Correct, Armando?
And I'll be happy to, if you'd like to, leave those with you to stamp them in, approve, whatever you want to do.
That hasn't changed.
That has not changed.
Okay.
Might as well just put it into the record.
The sunburst relief has not changed, so the sunburst relief, to raise sunburst, it's gonna be done in the stucco. And again, painted white. And the detail crown molding as described below that sunburst detail, and that's where we've listed all of the colors as they appear on the Bear product.
Same question that I asked Mr. Hume, is this going back to planning board?
No, we're done with that.
Where's that?
We're done with planning board. Mr. Hammond's ready to show up building permit. We're done with planning.
And where are we?
So planning wasn't a full-blown site plan, planning was a waiver of site plan.
Okay. And where are we as far as the canopy, marquee?
Nowhere until I get this approved, and then I'll go, I'm sorry, we'll go to zoning board after we're done here.
Just put that in.
The marquee?
Yes, marquee will be ZBA.
Any other questions?
It's gonna look great.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, but.
Oh, I'm happy with
Are we
I'm happy with
settled as far as how we're handling it with the color? There was some discussion last time about going to the site and seeing the color on the material.
I'm fine with the color
Yes.
that we saw on site already, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far
Yes.
as I'm concerned, I'm approved on that.
I walked down myself and looked at it.
And Mr. Vera was confirming that
That is the color.
That's the color.
That is the color, as described here.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Can we get some?
Yes, I'm gonna-
I'll make the
But
motion.
I'm gonna read it up, I'm gonna describe it. It's called Nocturne Blue, HDC-CL-28. Hex code number 34, it's right there.
Might as well read the red, right? The red is on here too.
Red paint bear, no more drama.
Wow. no
Very
more
good.
drama.
Is that what you want to read it?
Trying to get it
P
done.
140-7D.
Just trying to get it done.
Actually, I like the white the best because that's a bit of sugar. See, so we gotta make it all sweet now, so I sweeten the pot.
So we make the motion for, should we make it to the date, the last date that the.
Yeah, 5-3.
All right, so I'll make the motion that we approve the drawings as of May 5th, May 3rd, 2023.
Do we get a second?
I'll second.
Do we have a vote? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'm gonna fold these, and give these to you.
Yeah.
When are we gonna see the movies?
More importantly, when we can have a drink up there.
Yeah.
I like the bar, that's nice.
That's a whole other deal. We were all demoed, we're ready to go. I started doing some little bit of excavating just for, see what soil looks like underneath it.
Are we gonna do
A lot of
sections?
water down there. I don't know if you've been in there. You're welcome to.
It's a lot of work.
I think, yeah, seriously.
Yeah, okay.
They'd like to see what, you know, they band-aided that
Yeah, that
thing
was
together
just
years
band-aided
ago.
for a long time.
Yeah, and you know, I know Fred Showers had worked on that building years ago, because we had his drawings, there were a lot of things that they fixed, but it's gotta be done right.
Are they gonna make two sections in the seating? Like, when we looked at the plan, it looked like there were two groups.
Well, you have a duplex, then yes, we have, so we come down, flatten off, so that we can get some handicap seating in there appropriately for, as per code. And then it goes down back, you know, pretty much to the elevation that it was before, so we're breaking.
Can you see the movie from upstairs? Or is
No,
that-
I won't be able to see that, because that whole thing is, that you remember, I don't remember, there used to be a balcony up there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They got rid of that thing, because that became the projection room, so. But now you don't need the projection room that's this big, you only need a little
Tiny,
thing,
tiny
it's, you
bit.
know, it's all
Yeah.
digital now, so the technology is.
They're gonna do, they're gonna do things besides movies, am I
I
right?
think that they're gonna do a couple of community things, I think mostly with the school. I mean, the idea was, you know, maybe try to get a black box in there for, you know, there's really, even at the Performing Arts Center, there's no place to really rehearse things, and the high school doesn't have a black box.
in Eastport South Mass School District, we have a black box, so they can do some practicing and performances in that before they go onto the bigger stage or just a smaller venue. So there was talk about doing some of that stuff there, so not trying to take away anything that Performing Arts Center does, it's strictly gonna be movies.
Listen,
Maybe we
Ashton's
can double features
proven-
on a Saturday like we have. Right, so 3 movies and a full feature.
Well, you know what's gonna happen, every time it's time to go, is it done yet? Is it done yet?
Yeah, no, hey, well, yeah, that's gonna be the next one, so I won't be answering those phone calls. Thank you very much, everybody, for your patience.
Okay.
Thank you,
bet.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Do we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to
Do we
adjourn.
have a second? Those in favor?
Aye. Summer, spring fling.
Okay.
School.
Are we off, Gary?
Yes, we are.
Was it recorded?
Well, I'll find out, probably when Liz gets
What
back.
time are you voting at, 9 o'clock?
No, nothing to reconnect.
You still have time, you can still make it.
Well, I gotta get